Hey everyone, this is Dan Gershenson with Caliber Brand Strategy and Content Marketing. I'm thrilled to be with you today to speak about how to leverage signals and content to move your ideal client through the buyer's journey. For our purposes today, we're going to assume that somebody has seen your website and they've been scored by signals to line up with your ideal client profile. Now the question is, how do we move them through our ideal client journey that we want to take them on? Most of the time, folks have tried so many different things at one time, they really haven't necessarily mapped it out for how somebody is going to go from one stage of knowing and liking and trusting and so on. What we want to do is have a much more methodical, but still fluid process. So we know where they are in the journey, and then what we should be not only using tactically, but what our messaging should be, especially when we know who that ideal client is. The first thing you want to do is take a look at your ideal client all the way through as far as what industry is best, annual revenue, location, employee count, all of those good things. And the best way to do that is not to have some hypothetical persona, but rather think of an actual client you've had. That's my recommendation. It makes it a lot easier because if you have a persona, it's somebody who doesn't exist. Don't do that. Use an actual client you've had where you say, if I could have 10 of those, I would be flying high. That's the best way to think about an ideal client. So how do we actually reach out to them? Assume we've done a strategy for any tactics and we have certain recommendations, but how is all that organized so we can move them through that journey? There are 7 stages when it comes to the buyer's journey: know, like, trust, try, buy, repeat, refer. Now let's go over to our marketing hourglass sheet, and we're going to walk you through this in a more interactive way so you can plot this out yourself.
Okay, so here's where we're actually going to start plotting the potential tactics that make a lot of sense for each of these stages. As I do this with you, this is going to give you some food for thought about where these things can go, but no two clients are the same. So what we start with is the know stage that people will encounter you first right here. So what are some good examples of things that if they were to find out about you for the very first time, that they'd go, oh, okay, they're on my radar. That's the most simple level for them to get to know you. So we're talking about things like it's a landing page. A blog is another great example of that. What about a core web page? And we're just talking about a home page here. It's not necessarily a high intent page, but it's one of the key ones that they go to. What are some other great places that they might find about you for the first time? Well, media coverage, PR, that somebody could hear an interview about you, and that's really the first time that they know you. Podcasts, we are definitely big on podcasts and the interview opportunities that come from that. Free tools or infographics or quizzes that get somebody involved for the first time. Certainly, I think you could say social media. They know of you, they see you, and they're just starting to understand you for the first time. And they're not in the like stage yet, so the expectation shouldn't be great and enormous that once they come to our landing page or blog, hear us on a podcast, that they're suddenly going to be like, hey, send over a contract, I'm ready to roll. Let's get on to the like stage. Okay, now somebody has seen us and they like some of the content that we're all about. Do they trust us yet? No, they're not there yet. But they have gone a little bit deeper into our website. Now we might be talking about higher intent pages. We might also be talking about things like checklists or a how-to type of video, something that's a little bit under the hood. This kind of thing actually is a good example of a like phase, so hopefully you're liking it. after they've gone from the landing page and the blog and some of these core web pages, the idea here is the content is really going to move them to the very next stage. So think about your calls to action of where you want people to go. We often say, call us for a demo, or even trying to get them to buy something. That may be a bit premature depending on what it is and the size of the purchase that they're going to make. So are we just going to be a little bit more realistic, a little more practical to say, let's get them to one of our key videos, or let's get them to our website, like an actual high intent page where they might download a checklist or call it a tip sheet of some sort. Now we get to be one of the most crucial phases of the entire hourglass, which is the trust phase. We don't know yet if somebody's going to go from like to trust, and many times this is where people end up. They'll go to our website, they'll follow us on social media, maybe they'll even subscribe to our e-newsletter, but do they really trust us? That's the key. So what is it when they trust us? Well, the tactics that we may put in front of them, they demonstrate success. And I think some of the best examples of that, I'm very big on case studies. Like, here's the challenge, here's what we did for that particular client, here's then the result, and kind of the ongoing success. Or you might have some actual statistics and percentages that you can throw out there to show how profitable they are, more revenue that they have, etc. Another one that I like a lot is webinar. We're not saying that when somebody comes to a webinar of yours that they're an instant qualified lead, but they certainly could be more of a qualified lead if they were to pay for that webinar. I don't think you can just say that they're like anybody else when they do that. And it doesn't have to be paying a whole lot of money either. The e-newsletter, or like LinkedIn newsletter, can be a really great way for somebody to do trust you. Now, I don't want to say that they are ready to get into signing a contract tomorrow, but enough to give you an email. That should count for something in the trust department. Another big one, though, here is reviews. And I can't say enough about reviews. I think I must have about 75, 80 reviews between a couple of different sources. That's because I was very intent on just focusing on those. I don't really recommend you in trying to put reviews in 10 different areas and only having just a few per channel. Focus on a couple of them and then say, how can I build this up as much as possible on a regular basis? That when you have reviews, you're going to have enough, say at least 10 preferably, that will make someone say, gosh, okay, people have worked with this fella. He's got something going for him. Clearly he knows his stuff on these particular things. And now trust is established. You've done what they're looking for in a potential partner. Are they going to buy from us yet? Maybe not. They could. We're closer to the buy, but we still might be on a short list with 3 to 5 other vendors. So what is it that be going to distance us from those others on the short list? That's where a try comes in. What is it that we can do that gives us an opportunity to, move them off the bench, let's say? And so here are a few examples that I think are good to move them from trust to try. Now remember, each of these live in a bubble. So when we're thinking about case studies and webinars or e-newsletters, all of this content really should be geared to getting to whatever that offer is. And if it doesn't have that, then you're not really moving them along. They're still just trusting you. It's good, but it's not enough to close the deal. So what are some good examples of where we can use the trust tactics go to as a next step? Well, a masterclass of some sort is not a bad idea. But an assessment or an ROI calculator, for example, or even a community type of group, which doesn't mean that there's a big commitment in doing that, but I do want to belong to like-minded people who could be your clients. So that when we say community, that's important. As I'm going to use one of the things that I use, a total online presence audit. This is essentially a 3-week trial or a strategy that allows somebody to work with me. But here's the key. It's not free. It's paid. So whatever your offer is, consider that there's some kind of parting with dollars that has to happen so that these folks are serious enough and they are willing to invest a certain amount to get to this very next stage. Because when they're at the try, if all things go well and there's a real in-sync connection going on there, then that's all they need a lot of times to say, okay, we feel good. So this could be one of the most crucial pieces right here is the try stage. Your webinar, your case study, your e-newsletter, all of those types of things, it's not just saying check out our website or call us up for questions or anything like that. It's very focused on drawing a straight line from one phase to the next. Okay, so here we are at the buy stage. We could say that some of these things I'm going to show you here could go into a try stage, but many times it's in the same meeting where if they see this at the meeting, they will buy. Let's say, for example, we've done a trial period. We'd be giving them a strategy of some sort, an offer that allows them to say, okay, here's X amount of dollars. They like what they see so far. So now they just maybe need one more thing, which could be a demo or an audit, or let's say they have some frequently asked questions. This is a page of your website where they're going to ask some of the things that they were always afraid to. How much does it cost? What's your process like? So FAQs page is kind of that little extra thing that makes them say, okay, now I feel good. Now I'm ready to buy. Perhaps you could call this a try before you buy if you wanted to. But in some cases with people out there, if they do a demo, then by the end of that meeting, it's, are you ready to buy? And that is something I recommend you do because you don't want to let too much time go by, because if they did like the demo or they did like the audit, they feel pretty good about it, then they should be making a decision, possibly right then and there. We've moved from only marketing to sales, but now we're moving into customer service, the customer experience. And when we often talk about scaling, this is where scaling can really occur. It's not, okay, let's get as many clients in the door. It's more, okay, we've got some great clients in. Now let's grow our relationship with those because it's easier. So the repeat stage of this, if after a certain period of time, let's say it's 6 months or a year, heck, maybe it's a month, then they're in a position to possibly do something else. Once the first part of an engagement is fulfilled, then how do you know that they're going to either keep doing that, keep ordering the same thing, or even better, buying other services and other products of yours? So this is where you would want to have some cross promotion going on in your content. If there are results tracking, okay, that first engagement that we've had, there were some good results that we can look to. Our goal was this, and based on all the tracking that was done, we did get to that goal. Does everybody feel good about that? And some of that feel good can be uncovered with a survey. You don't want to just leave it alone like that and say, okay, great job. Hope you think about us again sometime. Nope. You want to definitely keep the momentum going, especially while they're feeling good about you. Have another meeting with them and say, okay, now that you have a good sense of what we're like and vice versa, what are some other ways that we might help you grow your business even further? What other goals do you have? If you can get into a couple different departments, a client of mine used to say, if you can get into 3 different departments, you're especially sticky. So if you can do that, you're going to be in very, very good shape. Be ready to possibly refer you, but it doesn't mean they actually will. And that's the part that always gets missed here. It's often, well, they're very happy with us. I'm sure they would refer if ever given the opportunity. Don't make that assumption. You want to activate your referral process, and you're going to do that by, even as we say, results over here with the repeat stage, we want to say results over here too, even again to say, all right, here's the results reviews, what happened from working with us, so that, yeah, they may see the result that you gave them one time, but it could be a week later, out of sight, out of mind. They won't be able to necessarily speak to it with such specificity, certainly 3 or 6 months from now. They'll just be able to say, yeah, they were good. We want to also be able to train them just a bit. Are there any materials that we can give those kinds of people? The people who are our advocates, our ambassadors, there might be a one sheet. There might be some language that you can give them so they can just copy and paste into an email. Wouldn't that be great? So you're making their life as easy as possible. Another piece here, though, we've been talking a lot about clients, but let's not forget about our strategic partners. So a strategic partner network is a really good, when it's truly a strategic partner and not just another business, when there's a back and forth and there's more than anything an urgency to get to know each other on a really deep level of, can we speak about each other's ideal client if the other person isn't in the room? That isn't done necessarily in one session. It takes some time, but at its best, a strategic partner network of 5, 10 different really good partners in referral are going to feed you pretty well for this stage, so that when they refer, you're going to suddenly get to know somebody that they're not just referring you a name. They're not just saying, I got a guy. They have an ideal client in mind for you. Co-marketing is many times, how can we go after the same ideal client together? Are there some materials that can have both of our logos on it, sent out to your list, sent out to my list, and you're meeting on a regular basis, if not monthly, then certainly every quarter, so that you can say, okay, what are we going to do together now? You have to really like this other person to be co-marketing with. This is not something you want to do with just anybody, or even someone who might complement your business with their services. You gotta like them. You gotta feel really good about having them in the room, especially when you're not in the room, talking to the same people that you might. But when it does work well and you feel like a certain kinship with their business and how they operate, co-marketing can be a really great way to join forces and conquer. So then, are we done? No. It actually repeats, because once they've referred us, now we're being referred back to the very beginning when someone knows us for the first time. But hopefully what does happen is that it gets really accelerated upon a successful referral. But the liking and trusting and even trying can go significantly faster with that referral. But you can't necessarily jump ahead and go all in with referral and say, that's how we get our business, word of mouth and referral. The problem with that is you're going to leave out a lot of other people who are not yet ready to buy, but they're valid, they're good people to talk to now, because 3 to 6 months from now, they could be ready to buy. So they're just happening to be at the knowing and liking and maybe even who do I trust kind of building that up stage. So to only focus on the people who are ready to buy now or in the next week or month is going to leave a lot of money on the table, guaranteed. In each of these stages, what are the goals that your customers are having so that they can say, okay, I want to know who's out there. I want to get a sense of their services. I want to see if this particular company is one that I can trust. What's the chemistry like when I work with them, even in a trial period? All of these questions and then some, put them down as far as what you think they might be asking and what their goals are in order to get to the next stage. It's going to be a great way to organize your efforts. It's not something that you can always speed right through or jump over. So when you are in the be patient with it and understand that when you're moving them along and they're receptive to the next phase of what you are putting in front of them, then what are they saying? What do they need to experience? What questions do they have? Do they have hesitation of any kind? And can you then move them to the very next stage? As you get into this process of thinking about the marketing hourglass, how to leverage signals, and then how to leverage your content, reach out to me, Dan Gershenson. I'm at dan@highcaliberbranding.com, and I'm looking forward to every question and conversation we can have from here to get you some more customers that you love.